A warm welcome back to the channel, and some pretty big news surrounding Australian flag carrier Qantas, but in this sense I'm going to extend it to more so the Qantas group. You may know that competition watchdogs have long been checking in on the continued growth of this Qantas group in Australia, and they've had a lot of interest in this. These watchdogs have been tasked with the job to study the movements of not just the mainline Qantas, but also low-cost Jetstar intently, to see the ramifications on consumers and also competitors. That very Qantas group has a pretty hefty portion of available market share right across Australia, even highlighted through its regional division of Qantas Link. And while there's absolutely nothing wrong with growing into a major airline, there are obviously going to be some concerns about the ramifications of doing this. While some airlines in Australia have attempted to be successful as low-cost units and also adopting other business models, we've seen many in the country fail, the most recent being low-cost Bonza, and even stretching as far as the capital jet services of Rex, which were operated by the 737. Not all, though, new endeavours are aimed at competing with Qantas. However, watchdogs will look to see how this flag carrier affects prospective competition. Does their stronghold on the market make it near on impossible for any new entry with solid backing to come in and be successful? While focus rests on Qantas, I think the focus can also extend to Virgin Australia. Damning figures revealed that the two players control 92% of the aviation sector in Australia. Yes, 92% per the ABC. The coalition is now threatening in fresh developments, and the main topic of this video, the power that could see Qantas be forced to sell Jetstar, which would be such a move that will deal a massive blow to its business if it got to this stage. I say if it gets to this stage, because I'll dive into a little bit more about the process that would need to take place for us to reach this point later on. The prospective selling of the low-cost division, and therefore threats, really do centre around Qantas's anti-competitive behaviour, if found that it is doing such a thing. Airfares in Australia have long been a problem, trust me. As someone that calls Australia home and has grown up here, I've first-hand seen it, and while I know this isn't an isolated issue, I know some of you may be watching in Canada and feel something similar, and no doubt there are other countries across several markets worldwide. It has increasingly become a bigger problem in this country, and something that competition watchdogs have been putting a greater focus on, are Australians being ripped off. In some markets, like Europe, low-cost airlines have thrived, with cheap airfares being offered. All the while, full-service carriers have also survived and been successful, but some locations just simply can't make this work. The argument for the Australian aviation industry remains, however, from crucial government members that more competition would cut overall airfares. But see, the thing is, finding a way to increase competition has become harder to nail down. From things such as slot hoarding to unlawful means of retaining market share, these are comments that have been thrown all around and accused on the Qantas group, even stretching to Virgin Australia by many different parties across recent times. A review interestingly highlighted that, for example, Qantas leveraged Jetstar's position to raise airfares and play around with the overall price across key markets. This evident through the Treasury, seeing the moment the low-cost division was added to, say, a route pairing, airfares would rise. If not, well, then Qantas would be forced to lower them to remain competitive. Such comments surrounding Qantas and its low-cost unit Jetstar shouldn't be as a shock, considering the turmoil the Australian flag carrier has found itself in from a public standpoint really since the global pandemic. The overall reputation among travellers has dropped, and many nowadays would confirm to you that they have a lack of respect for this brand. We've seen quite a lot of change at an executive level, which has been drafted in to try and mend this relationship and put customers first. But there's only so much that can be done, and that will not stop external reviews of the business, the impact it's having, and more. But the thing is, no action is confirmed. While such a headline of Qantas being potentially forced to sell its low-cost division of Jetstar, I'll be the first to admit, is a pretty big one and easy to catch on to, this hasn't been confirmed as the decisive action that may be undertaken if all of this was to go ahead. Generally, such commentary from the coalition relates to attempts to make competition more visible across Australia, and in doing so, lower airfares for consumers, among really, you'd say, quality of life tidbits that go along with everything I've touched on. Reviews into Qantas Group will continue to see whether intervention would be required, and in a worst case scenario, what would that actually look like? Is that the selling of Jetstar, or is that something else? Ultimately, though, these watchdogs are clear on their mission. They want the Australian industry to be more accessible. How you actually go about that could be a multi-hour documentary. We've seen time and time again airlines come in and fail, so truly, what is next? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thanks a lot for your support here on the channel. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you same place, same time tomorrow.
And we'll fly.